Hey, what's going on, Weavers? Tim here again, and in today's episode we're learning how to make a Paracord mini knuckle duster. So a bit of a disclaimer first, this project is purely for novelty and entertainment purposes only. This Paracord knuckle duster really isn't functional because knuckle dusters are normally made of a solid or rigid material and Paracord is flexible, so this will not function properly as a knuckle duster. Now that being said, I'm sure there are things that you can do to make it functional, but I'll let you come up with those on your own. With that out of the way, this is still a fun little project and I just wanted to see if I could make some sort of Paracord knuckle duster, and this is what I came up with. So I hope you'll all enjoy it. Let's get into the tutorial. So starting off with my main piece of Paracord, I've got it doubled over to find the center point. Now I'm using this wooden mandrel to make this process easier, and this is not the purpose of this mandrel. Full review of this Turk's Head mandrel coming up soon. But anyhow, I'm going to wrap my Paracord around the mandrel. You can use like a piece of wood or a broomstick if you want, whatever you have lying around. And I'm going to loop the ends of the Paracord through the top loop there, kind of like doing a cow's hitch. Then from there, I'm going to turn everything around. And I want my working ends kind of coming out the top, like so. And now from here, we're going to bring the cords to their respective sides. And if you did my Paracord ring tutorial, you'll find this method very similar. And I used the mandrel here just to maintain a consistent size. Now from here, we're going to start tying our cobra knots. Take the right side strand and lay it over the core. I'm going to take the left side strand, lay it on top of the opposite strand, and then pass it behind the sort of two-strand core there and out the crook on the right. Okay, so I'm sure most of you are familiar with the cobra knots. And there's our first knot. And as I cinch up this knot, I'm going to try my best to cinch it up nice and tight so that the size of the loop stays tight around the mandrel. So at this point I can remove my mandrel, and from here we're just going to continue tying the cobra knots. So this time the left side goes over the core, the right goes behind, and over top and out the crook on the opposite side. And you're just going to continue tying cobra knots around the circumference of the loop. So I've made my way all the way around the loop and I've come back to where I started. Now I've got the right side strand on a fid, and I'm just going to feed it through the back and out the front of the ring here. So I'm going in between the two center core strands. I'm going to pull that right side strand all the way through. And please ignore the amount of Paracord I have in this demonstration. I did modify my original idea, so that's why my strands are really long compared to what I suggest in the video. So I did that with the right side, and I'm going to do the same with the opposite side. Just put the end of the Paracord on the fid, and then pass it through the middle of the two core strands and out the side of that ring. And pull that all the way through. Now from this point, we're going to do the same thing and repeat another loop. So I'm going to use my mandrel again to maintain, or at least try to maintain the consistent size. And I'm going to again loop my cord around the mandrel, again almost like doing a cow's hitch. And I want my cord sitting like so. And then again I'm going to sort of turn it around so that the working ends are coming out the top, and I can bring them down to the sides. And again we're back in that same position as we started before, where we can start tying our cobra knots. This is going to form that second loop. So again, I'm going to start tying my cobra knots. Take the right side strand, put it on top of the core strand. Left side goes on top of the right one, and then pass it behind the two core strands and out the crook on the right. Okay, so I'm going to tie that first cobra knot, and again, do my best to cinch it up nice and tight so that the size is roughly the same as the first loop. And once I've tied that first cobra knot, I can take out the mandrel, and again I'm just going to continue tying cobra knots all the way around my loop. And just a quick tip for the cobra knots if you're not familiar with them. Easiest way to remember which side is the lead strand is whichever side has that sort of knot pointing downwards. So as you can see now on the right side, the knot is on the right side. That's because that's where the lead strand is. So just always look for that sort of vertical knot and you'll know which side to tie in front. So again, cobra knots all the way around the loop until you reach the other side. Now that I've tied cobra knots all the way around, nothing special to finish here. I'm just going to have the working ends coming out the sides. And from there, we're going to trim off the excess paracord, just clip off with the scissors, melt with the jet lighter, and press down on it with the knotter's tool as usual. And do the same, of course, for both sides. And with my secondary color on a fid, I'm going to go through, it's going to be kind of hard to explain, but you'll just have to play around the spacing here. I'm going to go through this knot here. I would say maybe it's like 2 o'clock if you were looking at the ring straight on. I'm going to loop it around one of the horizontal knots of that cobra weave. And then I'm going to make sure I have equal amounts of paracord on both sides. And now with the right side strand, we're going to connect it to the other ring up top. And again, I'm going into a similar position. Maybe if you're looking at it in terms of a clock on the other side, it'll be like 10 or 11 o'clock. But you can kind of play around with this to get a feel of what the best position is for the anchor points. So now with the left side strand, I'm going to do the same thing and go under the same knot as the right side. And of course, push that cord through and get both cords coming out up the top. And one thing just to keep in mind about this part is that the anchor point between the two rings ends up kind of being at the very front of the knuckle duster. Now from here, we're just going to tie cobra knots once again, going down the length of this secondary section. Now, once you get down to the end, you could stop there and clip off the excess if you want a slimmer profile, but if you want that added sort of thickness to the palm piece, you can do a secondary cobra weave, making it kind of like a king cobra, and just go over the same section again with another set of cobra knots. And once you've reached the end, very simple, just tie your last knot, and then we're going to clip off the excess cord with scissors, as always, and then melt the cord with the jet lighter and press down on it with the knotter's tool. Do that for both excess cords. And there we have it. There is our Paracord mini knuckle duster. So again, just a fun project, not meant to be serious at all. And, you know, I just wanted to see if it would be possible to make a kind of mini knuckle duster like so. I have done a different style of knuckle duster in the past, and I'll link that in this video. But I don't know, this one came out pretty fun, and they're kind of fun to fiddle with and play around with. Not meant to be an actual functional knuckle duster. So I hope you guys found this project interesting and maybe you'll try it out. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button. And as always, a huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters. If you want access to exclusive videos as well as Patreon perks, feel free to check out my Patreon page, link in the video as well as down below. If you enjoyed what I did in this video, feel free to check out what I have to offer on the rest of my channel.